Hi, for those of you who haven't seen this before, I am Lisbeth, by the way, Lisbeth, and I am in Norway, in the far north of Norway, and I'm the manager of the Nordic Education Center for Dog Trainers. I'm going to talk about our body language. You know, I talk a lot about the dog's body language and how they use their body language, the calming signals, to tell us things and to communicate with us and each other. So tonight I'm just going to switch the focus onto us, how we can use our body language in order to help the dogs understand us, because they're not mind readers. And also, by doing that, we are making the training a lot more easy for you and for your dog. So I have a little PowerPoint, mainly to remind myself what to say, actually. So I'm going to share the PowerPoint now. Just hold on. Okay, like this. So I've just written down a few of many different things we can use, we can do with our body to help dogs understand what we are thinking and what we mean. Because the thing is that very often our body language is it's opposite from the dog's. For example, for a dog, in a dog's world, staring or being in front of your dog like this, directly in front, face to face, is not very polite. Actually, looking away a little bit like this, or when you're walking to make a little curve, is so much more polite in the dog's world. However, in our world, it's polite to look at the person you are talking to, right? So this is quite different. This is the opposite, actually. And there's another couple of things that you can do as well to help your dog understand what you mean, because they are visual. They can hear, see, and smell, obviously, but they are very visual animals. So they see us, but they can hear. When they hear our voice, our tone of voice could be very different than our body language. So that would make them a little bit maybe insecure even in different situations. So when we're standing there facing them straight on, like the woman here on the right-hand side, pretty much straight on. Also leaning over, bending over. We'll talk about that later. That is, in the dog's world, that's not very polite. If you are standing with your body a little bit from not directly facing the dog, but just a little bit, just with your shoulder. You don't have to turn around or anything. Don't make any like big movements, but just a little bit, and not looking straight at the dog. Of course, our dogs, the ones we know very well, they know that it's not scary or rude to look us in the eyes. Actually, quite a few dogs do stare at us, but that's more because they learned it, that if they stare at us, there might be some rewards coming. An example of that is that you're sitting in your living room watching television, and your dog is sitting next to you, staring at you. Staring, staring, staring. And maybe something happens then. Maybe the dog gets attention from you, or gets to play with you, or maybe you even get up and go out for a walk. So your dog has learned that by staring at you, something good will happen. But for dogs that you don't know and don't know you very well, to stare is not really very polite. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the hand signal. This is a very useful signal that we can use in different situations. And it basically means stop. Maybe some of you are used to using the hand signals when you teach obedience. Maybe even do the hand signal like this and you say stop or whatever cue you're using. But you can also use it to just avoid the dog jumping on you or jumping on the table, or even more common, you're sitting here at the table wanting to eat some food and your dog is jumping up trying to get the food from the table. Then you can use the hand signal. And the earlier you use it, meaning the earlier you use it, the better it is. Once the dog has started jumping on you or trying to get to the table, it's not too late. You can still use it, but it's better if you use it before your dog comes up to the table. So then you use the hand signal by just showing your hand like this. You don't even have to say anything. That's the beauty. You can look away a little bit like this and just show your dog the hand signal. You can even do that on a distance if your dog is barking. Not if it's really scared and totally absorbed in the situation. For example, if you meet another dog and your dog is scared of other dogs, then just using the hand signal would not work. You need to increase the distance as well. But for example, when I have people or guests coming in the house, I can use the hand signal and my dogs will be quiet. I've tested this. I've had many dogs and I've tested this many times, and it's surprising how well it works. In these pictures here, these situations, the owner is just practicing using the hand signal, trying to get the puppy not to come any closer to jump on them, because that's what puppies do. They love jumping, and they can, of course, be allowed to greet if they want to do that, but maybe you don't want the dog to jump on you. So that's when you can use the hand signal. You can use it in different situations when your dog when you don't want your dog to do something to prevent it from happening. Quite interesting. They've done some studies where they measured the pulse in the dog when the dog was laying on the couch with the owner, and the owner got up to leave the room. The pulse went up really a lot, increased a lot when the dog owner got up and left the room. But when the dog owner used the hand signal before, didn't say anything, just showing the hand to the dog while getting up from the couch and then walking out of the room, the pulse was almost the same. So for some reason, this is actually working. Try it in different situations and see for your dog. And the point is that you should not have to say anything. You just use it as a part of your silent body language. Okay, this I forgot to translate. It actually says look away from your dog. So in addition to using the hand signal, you should of course not stare at the dog at the same time, but look away from the dog a little bit. Again, you don't have to make huge movements. You don't have to overdo it, but just a little bit to the side. Okay. Next one is not bending over the dog. And this is something that is quite difficult not to do when you put on a harness, for example, and especially if you have a small dog, it's difficult not to bend over the dog. But you should try to avoid it. I'm not saying that this is all, in the ideal world, we could do it perfectly, but we are not ideal. We are humans. So try not to bend over the dog, even your own dog. They get used to it, but it doesn't mean that it gives them a good feeling. For example, if someone pets you or pet you on the head like this, it might be uncomfortable. If there's someone you don't know at all, it's very uncomfortable. You don't want it to happen, I'm pretty sure. If it's someone close to you, maybe you don't mind, but still it's not what you love being done to you. So be aware of that as well with your own dogs or dog, to make sure you use a better and a more polite body language. So bending over the dog. When you are putting on a harness, when you are petting a dog, even your own dog, it's also good to think not to bend, not to put your, let me show you with my little dog here, to not bend your arm over your dog like this. Yeah, you should move around your dog instead. Also, when you greet a dog, this is very basic, but maybe some of you are new to this. When you meet a new dog, never pet him on the head like this. Pet them on the side closest to you, so you avoid bending or having your arm over the dog or bending over the dog. That is if your dog wants to be petted. If that dog wants to be petted, you can do it like this, yeah? Okay. Don't stare. That's rude. It's rude for us humans as well if we really stare. But I think I already mentioned that in the beginning. It's quite rude to stare for dogs. Dogs can stare at us because we taught them that something good is happening. We didn't know that we were actually teaching them, but they learn by association. So if the dog is staring at you and something good happens, then you actually teach your dog to keep staring at you, because they do what they get, rewarded from doing. So try not to stare at a dog. And there are two things. Walking away from a dog. This is not, well, you can use it in different situations actually, but walking away from a dog is triggering the instinct to follow, to hunt, or running. If you're running away from the dog, it's more likely that your dog will follow you. For example, if you do recall, if you train your dog to come to you when it's called, to do recall training, it's much better to walk or to run the other way, being a happy person, obviously, so that your dog wants to come to you, than to run towards him to try and catch him. Because this is what we normally, that's our instinct, is to run towards the dog and catch him if he's not coming when called. But the chances for your dog following you if you are running away is much bigger than you being able to catch your dog. For example, if you're have an accident and your dog jumps out of the car in a parking lot or something, you don't want your dog to be all over the place. So it's better to just walk away or run away a couple of steps from the dog instead of going towards him. Because walking straight towards the dog is a threatening kind of body language, especially if you walk straight towards. And now if you add the staring bit, you walk straight toward your dog, or a dog staring at him, it's a threatening body language that we're using. Even though maybe our voice is nice, saying, come on, Fido, come on, come on, come on. We're trying to catch him. So a number of things can happen. If it's a dog that wants to play, he thinks this is great fun. So he's standing there waiting for you to come a little bit closer, and then he runs away. And you don't want that to happen in a parking place. So in general, walking straight toward a dog is a threatening way of using our body language. Dogs, they walk in a little curve. That's the polite way. It doesn't have to be a big one. Some dogs need more space, and maybe they're more fearful, and they need a bigger curve. But even dogs that know each other usually have a very small curve, but still curving. They did some studies on this as well, and on a number of dogs, putting the measuring the pulse while the dog was walking directly towards other dogs and owners in small, narrow spaces, and also in bigger spaces. And the pulse was constantly a lot lower when the dog was given the chance to walk in a little curve. Okay, and then we have splitting, which is a very interesting thing. I have some illustrations here. Splitting means going in between. Dogs use that when they are playing together. Maybe the mother or an older dog or a dog sees that it's now too much play. It gets too wild, too out of hand, and they want to calm down the dogs that are playing. They would go splitting. They would just go in between. And we can use that as well when we have two dogs. For example, in this case, there are two dogs. They want to greet each other, but they're not supposed to do that. So a person without a dog, that's important, stands in between the two dogs. And the greater the distance, the better it is. But even in a small distance like this, it actually works. And you can also use, if you see the hands of the person without a dog, the palm of the hand is showing to the dog that is a bit fearful to the other dog, to calm that dog down. Same thing here, splitting. So standing in between the two dogs. Then obviously the dog owners, once the dogs has calmed down a bit, then you can use a contact sound, or you can use whatever cue you have, and try to get your dog to come with you and walk away to create more distance. Never pull the lead. Yeah. So that's a very good tip, actually. And this, you can use this in all different situations. When the dogs are playing, or you can use it between your dog and a car, or your dog and another human, if your dog is reacting to that car or human in a kind of way, or if it's a little nervous or fearful, or when you just want them to stop playing. If you have your back towards the dog like this, very, very straightforward back against the dog like this, you can see that the dog on the picture is actually showing calming signals as well. Sitting down is a calming signal. Looking to the side is a calming signal. And I was the one taking this picture, so I know that this dog is on this picture actually answering the little boy using calming signals. The dog is not seeing something else there. He's really polite. So what happened was that the boy got an ice cream, and the dog really wanted some ice cream as well. So it was a big dog and a small human. So I told him to stand with his back against the dog to see if it helped. And yes, the dog sat down immediately. And you can see on the floor there that the dog was actually drooling because he really wanted the ice cream. But he naturally, when he gave such a clear sign with his body, standing with his back against him, ignoring him, the dog sat down and ignored as well, using the same calming signals back to the boy. Okay, and then remember that your dog, first of all, don't wake up your dog when it's sleeping, but remember to take care when you are walking up from behind. If your dog is sleeping, or if a dog is resting, and keep in mind that some dogs, they don't see very well or hear very well, so they can easily get scared. It's these kind of small things we need to take into consideration. And last thing, does your dog want to be touched? You could actually see that in a dog if you are good at knowing the calming signals. Then you can do a test. It's very easy. You sit down on the floor when the dog comes to you and clearly gives a sign to you that he wants to be touched, it's okay. But what we do a lot of times, especially with new dogs, we want to pet them. And if you meet a puppy, a cute puppy, we do want to pet them. But it's not all dogs that likes to be petted, especially not by strangers. And even so, if they want to be petted, please let them take their time to get to know you a little bit better, to come and to sniff your legs, your body, your jacket, whatever. Don't start, reaching out your hand. Don't do that. Let the dog come to you. You can see the dog in the front there. He is clearly, with his head, he's trying to push me. He wants to be touched. This should have been a film, but yeah, I'm sorry, it's just a picture. But when they come to you, even when they're sniffing you, that's their way of trying to get to know you, to try to find out more about you. So even when they're sniffing you, don't reach out your hand. Wait until your dog really wants to be touched by you. It makes your dog's life so much nicer. That's the word I would use, nicer. If we can't, if everyone we came across, human beings, touched us or petted us on our head, that would be really uncomfortable. So let your dog decide more if you want to be petted or not, especially by strangers, not especially by everyone, actually. You too. Okay, so be more aware of your body language. Learn the dog's calming signals and how they use it. Like I said, some of the signals is opposite of what we do. In our human world, it's polite to look at the person straight on when we are talking to them. It's impolite to look at something else or to look to the side. But that's the opposite in the dog's world. It's impolite to stare and to look directly at the other dog. So let your dog choose more when, where, and how he wants to be handled, because they will show you if they want to be petted here. A lot of dogs like to be petted here on their back, where the tail is. And also here from the mouth, like this, always on the side closest to you, so you don't avoid doing this, bending over. Okay, and some harnesses, you don't even have to pull over their head, so that's even more comfortable. If you have a dog that is a bit wary of putting on a harness, it might be because they don't like to get it over their head. You can try the kind of harness that you don't have to pull over the head. You can just, take from the sides. And also, I've learned I should be more quiet. I don't need to talk that much. I am a talker. I love talking. I talk all the time. So I try not to talk as much because it makes me and the dogs maybe a little tired sometimes. But you can do so much without talking to your dog. Constantly talking. We are telling them it's good to talk to your animals. I don't mind that. But there are lots of things we can do with less talking. So I guess being more aware of how we are handling ourselves in relation to our dogs and other animals as well is what I'm trying to come across with today. Wouldn't it be great if dogs could talk for 5 minutes? What would you ask your dog? If your dog could talk for 5 minutes, that's it. You just got a window of 5 minutes. Oh, there's so many questions I would like to ask dogs. But until then, we have to keep guessing for a lot of things. Okay, so that was basically what I had on my mind tonight. So let's do a summary of the few things of the body language that I spoke about tonight. Hand signal, try to use that more. Try to speak less when you give commands. Try, in general, give less commands. I think that's what I'm trying to say. And more body language, yeah? Then just keep in mind how you are behaving around dogs. When I meet a new dog, I always let them, now it's my instinct now because I'm used to it. So I always let them come up and sniff and smell if they want to. If they don't want to, I don't pet them. I don't touch them at all. Also, walking in a curve, especially when you meet new dogs that you don't know, walking in a curve and giving your dog as well the choice of walking in a curve when you meet other dogs or people or cars or whatever it is. If your dog is pulling you to the side that he wants bigger space, more distance, let him follow your dog. Are telling their stories without words, yes, and it's our responsibility to understand, right? I think so. I think really this is on us because we are the ones taking them into our home. So we have responsibility to try and understand them. By yourself, a dog like this to pet all the time, or do like me, you can get several dogs. If you want to be on the safe side, you get several dogs, and then you can always have someone to pet. That was a very silly remark, but anyhow, please, please let your dog have the space when he needs it, she needs it. Don't wake up the dog when they're sleeping. And when they want to be petted, which is quite often because they're social and they like us, they love us, we love them. So pet your dog and try to watch your dog's body language, where it likes to be petted, how it's like to be petted. Okay, thank you everyone. Bye.